Hi there guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video. You join me once again in my Mark 7 Golf R to talk about the car market and something to bring up from, well, I did a video about sort of 4 or 5 days ago which got some fantastic comments from you guys. Yeah, fantastic reception, and I kind of wanted to do a little bit of an ongoing series because, to be honest, the car market is absolutely all over the place and Golf Rs are one of them that are kind of being affected by it. And yeah, just to talk a little bit about it, talk a little bit about why it's happening, respond to some of your comments that you mentioned because some really interesting stuff, and also kind of how long it's going to last as well, and kind of what you should do. So yes, definitely stay tuned if you want to know, and hopefully have some free advice which will help you out in the future, because that's what the channel is all about. So let's get straight into this. So yes, a really exciting kind of topic, and something which is just like blown my mind in terms of how the car market is completely turned on its head. And this is because you can sometimes get special exclusive cars where you can make some money on, and you know, those people can kind of work out, but it doesn't normally happen for the mass produced cars. Your Volkswagen Golfs, your Ford Fiestas, your Ford Focuses, they tend to lose loads of money and they tend to hurt normal, hardworking, decent people like you and me. And that's always frustrated me so much, because it's so unfair, isn't it? Like the cheaper cars cost you the most money because they never retain their value because of that. Well, right now, that is not the case. Now, I've shown videos on how We Buy Any Car offering quite high amounts, very high amounts. And that is simply because, well, new cars, they're just not around. People cannot buy new cars, or they're getting told 2022 you might see your car, but yeah, you know, I'll take your deposit anyway. And yeah, people are just saying, well, I can use that deposit to get a used car then. And that is quite a sensible thing to do, because used cars actually represent a great little investment, because they've lost all the depreciation and you can still kind of get a good car if you know what you're going about. Like the Golf Rs, I check out that the forum, and there are people that really meticulously look after their cars to such a high degree. It's just ridiculous, and you can pick up those kind of cars for sort of like £15,000–16,000. It's a bargain, absolute bargain. Now, there aren't just sites like We Buy Any Car. There are other places you can sell your car to. You can sell it to the likes of Arnold Clark, and there's a company called Motorway, which one of my sort of viewers recommended me to, which you send your car off to them, you take pictures of it, they'll ship it around to the dealers and give you the best price. And there's also obviously We Buy Any Car, which I've mentioned. Now, the reason why the car market is all over the place for normal cars, not just your special Porsches, your Ferraris, your limited edition run Club Sport S or GTI, whatever, is a mixture of new cars not being available, a mixture of computer chips not being available which go into the car, which help run the brain of the car, which I did a video on about 4 months ago actually on the channel, which I'll leave up there, combined with obviously everything that happened last year. You know, I was working from home and I was sitting there with my car doing 0 miles. It was almost illegal to go out and drive your car. I mean, never, ever in my life did I think that was ever going to happen. And yes, it was very tempting to sell, and I'm sure a lot of people did sell. If you're getting no value out of your car, particularly if you're on finance and you're seeing those monthly payments going out, you of course would sell for probably a low price, because no one really wants a car which you're not even allowed to drive. So absolutely unique circumstances to the nth degree. Never see it. Combined with, you know, talk about electric and banning petrol cars, you know, no wonder these cars are kind of like, well, who the hell's going to want them? And it was really worrying me, because I've put a fair amount of money into this car, and I'm sure you have as well watching this video. You don't want all your money to just be disappearing just in the space of like a couple of months because of all that's happened, government rules, people just not buying cars and all that kind of thing. So it was a pretty awful time. Flip back to today, June 2021, and it's a completely different picture. And I've said before, I don't think this is going to sort of end today. I think, you know, if you desperately need to sell your car, yes, you sell it now, you're going to get a good price for it. But if you need to use your car, keep using it for a little bit longer, because you're not going to be losing that much money as the market kind of evolves and things change. And I've kind of predicted in my previous video, I sort of said August is the date where you kind of got to be like, I think things will start to turn back again, because fundamentally cars, depreciating assets, they're not very good investments in general, particularly cars which, you know, I went for a run this morning, I saw at least 6 or 7 Golf Rs, and it's just like it just feels like they're everywhere. Now I will try and do an update sort of every couple of weeks and I'll sort of get a valuation on this car just to get an idea to see where things are changing, and also to help you lot out on the other side of things, because that's what a lot of the channel is. I've always talked about being a community channel, so if you want to be a part of it, please do subscribe, like, share. You know, it's constantly evolving. I actually reached over 2,000 subscribers recently, so massive thank you for all of that and all of your support as always. And this is just something which is just completely blown my mind, because it has to take so many different factors to have happened. Now, the hardest thing is, should you actually take the bait and sell? Now, as I've said, I still think you've got a bit of time to wait if you can afford to wait. And I've said before, it doesn't necessarily affect all cars, and I'll get into a few of your guys' comments as well around that. And I'll stand by the point, if you have a value and a reason to own a car for whatever it is, whether it's just your monthly trip to wherever, to the Lake District, or whatever it is for your holiday with your kids, and you use the car for that, don't just sell your car and then lose that sort of activity. You know, whatever a value is to yourself is more important than any financial gain, in my opinion. That's what value is. Everyone does have their limit, and you should have your limit of, if someone makes you a stupid offer which you can't refuse, kind of take it. And I'm kind of the same way. If I saw an offer from We Buy Any Car, whatever, a very quick, easy thing to do, which was just ridiculous, I am probably going to take it, because everyone has their limit. But right now, the car means so much. I love it. It does everything. And as I've said before, you still need to buy another car, and you're going to have potential issues there in terms of the premium of those cars. So I had some really good comments actually, and I'll pop them on screen as I kind of read them through, and I'll kind of respond to them as well, because that's what I like to do. So I had one of the higher comments, and someone said, word of advice for We Buy Any Car: if you book an appointment for the end of the day near the closing time of the branch, We Buy Any Car will offer you more, as they want to hit the targets. Now, that little piece of advice is definitely something that is very much true. You can really time it very well. For example, buying a car towards the end of the month is better, because salesmen need to hit their targets, and guess what? They need to sell cars as a result. I bought this, for example, right near the end of the month, and potentially that helped in the way that I bought it. So if it's the same with We Buy Any Car, yeah, time it right. And this is exactly what it means. It's like, you can have the flexibility to essentially get the most money you can, which is really, really important, particularly in this day and age. Other people are sort of saying, yes, once you sell the 7, it just doesn't make any difference, because it's sort of like everything else is going to go up in price, which 100% I agree with. And I mentioned it's just a catch-22. But if you can be in a situation where you could potentially not need a car for a little bit and buy a car in October, November, December, when the market's really, really low, you might potentially be on a bit of a winner, potentially. There were some really long comments as well, and I would advise people to check the comment section, because you do get some fantastic advice from people. And I always think of it as just like, you've got to learn from other people and kind of build upon the experiences that you can. And I hope these type of videos help out all people, basically, even in a short sort of 10-15 minute clip. It's not just for the Golf R. But yeah, just basically saying how they had the same issues. They recently paid sort of £19,000 for their car, and then they sold it and they managed to get it for more. And again, one of the things on that side is it's great to get one over on the dealers, isn't it? It's like, dealerships will always undercut, and they will always try to get the most of what they can. They will hope that you do not know anything about your subject matter, and they will try to, because it's just a business. That is all it is. Them buying, selling cars like a conveyor belt. They don't care. Whereas for you and me, it's a bit more than that. It's a lot more than that. The great thing is that we are in control. We have the power, essentially. The market isn't necessarily controlled by all these external factors. It is controlled by our decision to buy and sell a car. Everyone is selling their cars, for example, like they may have been last year. The market's going to be pretty low, and you're not going to get that much money for it, because the options are there. Exactly the same in the housing market. If everyone's buying cars like there is now, and there's issues with the demand, which is a reason from sort of like the buying side of things, guess what? Prices are going to keep going up and up and up and up and up, because the cars aren't there. The stock is just not there. So you and me decide it. So that's the great thing, and we can kind of work out when's the right time to do it. And I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of people finance their car, but I can't champion buying a car outright more, because it gives you the flexibility to work things out when the timing is right, and you can potentially save as much money as you can. Even if you lose a few grand, it's better than losing sort of like 10-15 grand. So yeah, just something to think about there. I know it's difficult and it's not something that everyone is able to do for various reasons. People saying it's very high for all cars at the moment. I think it is. It's completely true. All kind of used cars are sort of becoming a bit of a premium. It's not just Mark 7 Golf Rs. Obviously, it's something that I talk about on my channel quite a lot, so I wanted to bring that into it. But yes, it is something that affects all cars. Someone said, what about a Civic Type R? Probably. But I just always say, it's like, not everyone's a car enthusiast. There are a lot more normal people out there who just want to buy cars, and that's why I like the Golf. You know, everyone wants these, to be honest with you. I love them, and that's why it's so hard to then get rid of them. The same, okay, this was a good one about GTIs. The Mark 7 GTI, from historically, is actually been more expensive than the Golf R in the first place, which is pretty incredible. But yeah, and that was one of the reasons why 4 years ago I bought the Golf R, because it was cheaper than its equivalent aged and mild GTI. Things have changed now with the Golf 8, but in the Mark 7 world, yeah, that was the case, which was really, really weird. So for the Mark 7 GTIs, I'd say the exact same thing. Yes, those cars are going to be worth a fair amount of money, and they are definitely sort of involved in this sort of whole weird car market thing. Someone said, We Buy Any Car will never give you what they offer. I don't agree with that kind of comment. I think your car is a complete wreck. You know, if it's got scratches, if it's got dents, if it's got curved wheels, if it's, you know, got things broken inside, if, I don't know, if the seats are all ripped, yes, you are not going to get what they're offering you. But if your car is well looked after, and there's a lot of people, particularly Mark 7 Golf cars, who do look after their cars, for example, yeah, there's no reason why you can't get what you've been offered. And if you don't, just walk away. You know, be in that comfortable position where, okay, it didn't offer me what I wanted, let's move on. Someone mentioned, because I mentioned about electric cars and how I was worried that that was essentially affecting the car market, you know, and how in 10 years time this car might not be worth anything. And someone mentioned it's just, you know, we don't have enough resource at the moment to power those kind of cars. I agree, you know, we're so far away, but hey, I fear for us, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get pushed into something which is just never going to work, and we're going to be in too deep that we're just going to have to kind of accept it and get stuck in. Like what I said before, they'll tax the hell out of us for petrol, and they will, you know, they can tax the hell out of us for cars in general. They can do all sorts of things. Car insurance might go up. You know, there's loads of different things that they can do to eventually force us out of cars. It's why cars like the R32 Golf R, you know, they're hard to afford, because it's a 5 or 6 grand car, which you're paying like 600 quid a year for to tax, and that's all kind of government controlled. So yeah, I do fear for the future, but let's see where we get to. A great comment from one of my US subscribers. You know, I love the support from the US that I get. Yeah, great people, and obviously Golf R being such a global product, yeah, it's always great to see. And they're actually saying that, it's, you know, an older 2019 Golf R Mark 7 7.5 is selling for more than the new one. So that's interesting, and it doesn't surprise me that things are completely backwards these days. And a lot of that is potentially because people just can't get hold of the 8Rs. Anyway, I was fortunate enough to drive it from one of my subscribers, but yeah, I've seen a fair few knocking around, but maybe not as much as obviously if things were normal in sort of like the new car world. Yeah, someone made a really good point actually with sort of London ULEZ compliance thing. I'm in the same boat. I drive into West London, and if you're around the ring road, the small little North Circular, say small, it's if you're on that and you sort of dip into London, you have to pay a congestion charge if your car's not ULEZ compliant. And I didn't really understand the rules, and I thought my 4-wheel drive Golf R in 2017 would be affected, and I'd be paying £12.50 every single time I went to go to the office. But actually, it is ULEZ compliant, and this particular subscriber, they had to get rid of their like Skoda 4x4 diesel, and they got a Golf R estate, and just because they saved that kind of money. So that there's so many different things going on, and again, it's all crazy little, all these little things are adding up. All these little things that I'm talking about are adding up to being this huge problem, which is causing demand to be so high. And yeah, I find it absolutely fascinating. So that's a really good point about the congestion charge there. And it's also affected, I believe it's in like Birmingham as well. You have these kind of rules. So yeah, it's interesting. And if you do search on Auto Trade, you'll see all this ULEZ compliance thing. It's quite important. So again, another factor. And that's kind of just a list of just a few little comments that went through from that video. And I will keep you up to date with what is going on in the car market. It is absolutely completely bizarre. And I think, you know, I love how it's the people who have the power, you know, not the dealerships. You know, we have the buying power, and that's always nice to have, because it's not going to happen for that forever, unfortunately. Although I do think this is going to continue for a few more months yet. Yeah, I can imagine myself doing a video in 6-7 months time and sort of saying, that my car that was apparently worth over £20,000 is now worth, you know, 3 or 4 grand less. That's just the realities, unfortunately, of owning a car. But let's see, let's find out. I'll keep you updated with a little bit of a series on this, because I think it's an interesting topic. And you know, thank you so much for your feedback on the previous video. And stay tuned, you know, like, share, subscribe. It really does help build this channel. I really do appreciate your support, particularly on videos like that. It just gives me an idea to kind of focus on it, maybe do a little follow-up video on it. That's how I kind of know. So if you do like a video and you do enjoy it, that's kind of where I'll kind of target things and kind of go from there. But yeah, you'll obviously see plenty more content. Check out my channel as well to see if you enjoy it. And I hope this video has helped you out, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. But listen, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you again next time. Cheers, guys.